Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today we'll be taking a look at Henri Dumas. I think that's the proper pronunciation. It could be Henri Dumas, but I believe it's Henri Dumas. New book, Kingdom. This is out from Hollow Press, and as you can see, loudly and proudly declared on the cover for adults only. It does have some pretty graphic images in it, but is visually like really truly a delightful book. You can see just by the cover, all of this patterning is all hand drawn, and that continues on to the back cover. It's just a bunch of hand drawn, like little stippled in starfish pattern things, and that's gives you a sense of how Henri Dumas works. This is a continuation in spirit, at least, if not directly, of Little Henri in. I forget what it was called. It wasn't Slumberland, but some take on that. And this is a continuation of that project, I believe. It's a very surrealist piece, and you can see relies really heavily on patterning, lots of intense detail, stippling, and it just creates a real, like, luscious psychedelic treat for the eyes. So here you're introduced to Little Henri, and he stumbles onto the lodge of VVVVV, virulent vessels of vesicating vices, and you see what's happening here is the character's huffing glue, and in the glue huffing is going on quite a trip, and that's what the book is all about. You can see that the format of the book, as each one is intended to be like kind of a Sunday page with the title at the top. It has a different title for each one, where you can see lodges itself, further agitates, and so that helps drive some of the story narrative, which is a fun little trick. There's some fun tricks in the language play as well. Like here you have this snake character that comes down the column, and he's like, boy who would be king, foolish Hugh man, and it's spelled Hue, like the color. So just some fun things like that throughout the book. And even like the kingdom is like that he is the King Dumas, the DUM. So there's a lot of like surrealist wordplay, everything you would want out of it almost feels like an automatic drawing type of thing, where each panel just follows the next. There was no major plan following it. I could be wrong on that aspect of it. There could be some kind of like mystical meaning that Henri Dumas is trying to communicate here, because like in this scene here, Henri makes a sigil and burns it and is trying to use that to accomplish something. So there's definitely a knowledge of occult symbolism and occult ideas in the book. There's also that King Henry Kingdom is called Brother or Frater Malkuth, so that's referring to like some Kabbalistic ideas. So it may be free flowing, but there definitely is like a core set of knowledge that's like holding the trip together. Page like this, you can see how much of a trip the trip really is. This is a wild, it's not a spread, it can kind of feel that way, but it's just 2 pages where Little Henri is going down this big, gigantic, crazy slide of, I believe it's the skeleton that makes up the hangman. Here you can see he's going through the rib cage, and here is parachuting as he falls off the ride at the end. So some really wild, beautifully visually beautiful, compelling compositions in here, with all of this like laborious detail to back it up. It's just a real pleasure to look at. And as someone, you know, like I'm not I like a pretty good straightforward story, but I had my mysticism period. Thank you, Alan Moore's Promethea. J.H. Williams, you really kind of trapped me in that for a long time because of how great of a book that was. But like there's definitely content I can get out of this because I recognize a lot of the symbols and things like that. And then just one more page here of some of the more like wild, grotesque imagery where you've got this like main character main boss at the end of the thing with this awful little like pustule nodule mouth, very Junji Ito kind of influenced vibes there, and he gets stuck down in there with all his guts hanging out, and then gets spit back out of by that same texture on the wall of his room. So it has that, still has that little Nemo that the little Henri in, it wasn't Slumberland, it was something else. But it still has that kind of influence to it where like this is a trip that the character goes on and then comes back at the end of and like falls out of his bed, you know. So it has that little gag to it, but it's not at the end of every page. It's like at the end of the book. So really enjoy these, really enjoy Henri's work, and will be getting anything else that comes out. Hollow Press did a great job on getting it printed. Hollow Press does a lot of really cool stuff with a lot of these more like darker, surreal artists. So if you're into this kind of thing, Hollow Press is a great place to check out. So check them out and get yourself some of Henri Dumas' work. It's really beautiful stuff. Centralia is an awesome, gorgeous comic by rising Dutch star Miel van de Peet. This is his first work. It's a really great sci-fi story. There's a world in the future where the sun has gotten so hot that people can't be on the ground. So they have to run around. There's a lot of conceits that go with that. You know, what is the world that looks like? And I think you can see by the art that Sean's description of this book as like a Moebius for young adults, a YA Moebius, is a really great description of this really gorgeous and like wild, wacky, fun book.